This is a fan-generated show. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our new Rumble channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled to announce the release of my new book, Obama's True Legacy: How He Transformed America. There's a reason why Mike Huckabee calls it a ferocious and chilling read. Order it now at Amazon.com or at FrontPageMag.com.
Robert Spencer here with another Glazov Gang without Glazov, and today's topic is Donald Trump's challenge to old Joe Biden. There is a second debate scheduled for September 10th, but that's worlds away in the timeline of American politics, particularly as things are developing these days. However, Trump has just written on Truth Social a post challenging Biden to a debate before then. But there's a twist. Trump says, let Joe explain why he wants open borders with millions of people and many violent criminals from parts unknown pouring into our once great nation, or why he wants men playing in women's sports, or demand all electric vehicles within 5 years, or why he allowed inflation to run rampant, destroying the people of our country, and so much more. Now, right there, you got to, the first thing you should be thinking is, well, wait a minute, you're never going to get debate moderators out of CNN or even Fox who are going to even dare to come close to those topics. One of the biggest problems that we've had in presidential debates, going all the way back to the famous Nixon-Kennedy debates in 1960, is that the moderators guide the discussion. The moderators are increasingly leftist propagandists, because that's what the establishment media is. And so they only ask the questions that reflect their point of view and that they think will elicit the kinds of responses that will get people to vote for their candidates. And so Trump has a solution for this: no moderators. Now you might think, well, wait, this is crazy. The man is crazy, as we have so often suspected, because why doesn't he just ask for fair moderators? Well, remember Chris Wallace in 2020, who was out of Fox News, and people thought, oh, he'll be more even-handed. And he wasn't. He was a total attack dog for the hard left. So Trump learned his lesson. And this time he's saying, no moderators. He goes on, it would also, under great pressure, prove his, that is Biden's, competence or lack thereof. Likewise, it would be yet another test for me. What a great evening it would be. Just the two of us, one-on-one, in a good old-fashioned debate, the way they used to be. Anytime, anywhere, any place. Now, of course, I don't have to tell you, there is just zero chance, 0-8 chance that Joe Biden is going to accept such a debate challenge. And there are a number of reasons for that are worth considering. One of them is the left never engages in actual debate with patriots. Think about it. All you get is what you got in the first debate from old Joe. He didn't say that Trump's presidency from 2017 to 21 was a disaster and explain why with actual reasoning. He didn't attack Trump's record. He didn't engage with what Trump was saying. All he did was say, you know, you said troops were suckers and losers, and you did this, and you said the Nazis were fine people, and all these things that have been debunked multiple times, and that ultimately just amount to sloganeering and propaganda. Because even if Trump is the rudest, nastiest, meanest guy on earth, this really is irrelevant to whether he is a competent president or would be again. He was a competent president or would be again. This is just a total red herring. But what the left does is actually encapsulated in microcosm in that debate and in those responses from Biden. What they do is, instead of saying or even attempting to prove that patriots are wrong, and instead of saying that patriots' policies would ultimately be bad for the American people in anything but the most superficial way, that just saying, oh, you want tax breaks for the rich and this kind of nonsense, without ever considering, well, who exactly pays for the businesses that are going to hire people and so on, and what exactly is the justice of a graduated tax system rather than a flat rate in the first place. They don't get into any of that. It's just it's all kind of a tribalism. It's designed to rally their people to their side without them having to think too hard about it. And that's the thing. Biden and the left, they want to show that patriots are bad people. And they think that's enough in order to get people to vote for them, as if Joe Biden were really the affable, nice, ordinary guy that he tries to make us think that he is. But the thing is that even if everything they say were true, that does not necessarily mean that the policies that the patriots are putting forward are inferior to those of the left. Even if all the patriots were bad people, it's just off the point. But going along with that is the idea that we are all such bad people that they don't have to engage with our ideas at all. There is no point in trying to refute Trump as far as Biden is concerned. There's no point in trying to show that he's wrong or that his policies would impoverish Americans or weaken America in various ways. There's no point in doing that at all. The only thing he needs to do is show that Trump's a bad guy. Now, this is the kind of thing that Trump is trying to get around with this new debate challenge. It's a great idea. It's the kind of thing that makes you think, well, wait a minute, why can't we have that? Why is it that we can't have the candidates really at any level having a genuine, non-scripted, non-rigged, even playing field, no holds barred discussion and see, well, who can articulate better his point of view, who can defend his point of view better, who might even convince people beyond sloganeering and tribalism that his or her point of view is better. This is something long gone from American politics, but I think that we should recall that it's never been foreign to American politics, and thus it could be and should be recovered. And I actually have a book here that demonstrates that. It is the Lincoln-Douglas debates of 1858. These were not actually even presidential debates. These were debates for the Senate seat from Illinois that was vacant in 1858. But the debates were of tremendous consequence because both of the candidates for Senate for Illinois were considered to be very viable candidates for the presidency in 1860, and that is actually how it turned out. Lincoln was the Republican candidate, and the Northern Democrats, after a split in the Democrat Party, chose Douglas as their candidate, and they were the two largest in terms of the popular vote totals, the largest vote getters. So this was a debate. These were a series of debates, actually, where all eyes were on these candidates. And really, it's astonishing. You read the Lincoln-Douglas debates, and it's like a different world from the Trump-Biden debate that we just saw recently. For example, here's something. I'll just read to you a little bit that Douglas quotes Lincoln's famous phrase, "A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it to cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all another." And that's a very famous statement. But Douglas takes issue with it. And he goes on and he says, in other words, Mr. Lincoln asserts as a fundamental principle of this government that there must be uniformity in the local laws and domestic institutions of each and all the states of the Union. And he therefore invites all the non-slaveholding states to band together, organize as one body, and make war upon slavery in Kentucky, upon slavery in Virginia, upon the Carolinas, upon slavery in all of the slaveholding states in this Union, and to persevere in that war until it shall be exterminated. And he goes on to explain that this is never how the United States has worked, that rather, he says, the fathers of the American Revolution and the sages who made the Constitution well understood that the laws and domestic institutions which would suit the granite hills of New Hampshire would be totally unfit for the rice plantations of South Carolina. And so he's saying, see, different areas can have different laws. And this is not only something that is good, it is to be encouraged. Now, that's an actual point, you see, that he's actually making that actually responds to the point Lincoln was making. And then Lincoln, in his response, says that he takes issue with Douglas's point. He says, what can authorize him to draw any such inference? And he says he looks upon it as being an exceedingly little thing, that is slavery, only equal to the question of the Cranberry laws of Indiana, as something that having no moral question in it, as something on a par with the question of whether a man shall pasture his land with cattle or plant it with tobacco. So little and so small a thing that he concludes, if I could desire that anything should be done to bring about the ultimate extinction of this little thing, I must be in favor of bringing about an amalgamation of all the other little things in the Union. And then he goes on to argue that slavery is actually a big thing with great moral import, and that consequently just to say it's a matter of whether one state wants to have it or another is out of focus for the gravity of the issue at hand. So I chose these passages more or less at random earlier today, and I was struck by what a high level this debate was conducted upon at a time when most of America was rural and had less of an education than people have now, but education was real then. It wasn't just critical race theory and gender studies and such. And so they actually could think critically, the people who were listening to Lincoln and Douglas. They could evaluate the ideas for themselves. And that's really what Trump is saying. Let's do that. Let's have a debate on the real issues with a real discussion where you really have to defend your positions. The fact that Biden is 100% certain to ignore or ridicule this challenge is an indication of how much our political discourse has degenerated since 1858. Here's hoping that Trump's challenge in itself will spark a renewal that will ultimately lead to the restoration of genuine discussion in American politics. I'm Robert Spencer.